The United States has strongly condemned an overnight missile strike on the Kurdish-Iraqi city of Erbil by Iran. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said it launched the attack. A dozen ballistic missiles struck buildings in the city, which is the capital of the Iraqi Kurdistan region. One civilian was injured. France said the strike threatened efforts to complete nuclear talks with Iran. For more on this, we can speak to Middle East expert Arash Azizi, who is also the author of a book on the U.S. and Iran. Welcome to DW, Mr. Azizi. So Iran's Revolutionary Guard has claimed responsibility for the missile attack in Erbil, but there seems to have been some confusion about the intended target. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, there was a bit of confusion at the beginning. IRGC clearly named the Israelis because the attack was also near the building that is going to be the American consulate in Erbil. There was some confusion, but the United States since has clarified. Wendy Sherman went on Fox News, Deputy Secretary of State, and also the State Department itself finally published a statement and made clear that the U.S. was not the target. But of course, the Americans have also strongly condemned it. The Iraqi government had initially also condemned, without naming, but they, I think an hour ago or so, the Iraqi Foreign Ministry summoned the Iranian ambassador, Masjidi, to condemn and name Iran as well. So it is clear that it's an Iranian attack on Iraqi sovereignty, and it has been condemned as such by Iraq, by different political leaders in Iraq, like Muqtada Sadr, and by the United States. And the IRGC claims that it is the Israelis, but it's not clear. It's not. Of course, the Iraqi officials would never admit to any Israeli presence on their soil, and Iran hasn't really provided any evidence about any Israeli presence there as well.
Well, we have seen in the past how hostility between Iran and the U.S. Often gets played out in Iraq. So how much of an impact do you think this attack will have then on relations between the U.S. and Iran?
Well, it definitely is going to have a negative effect. There's a couple of things that can be said here. First of all, it looks like the Iranians had a calculation that the U.S. is too busy with Ukraine and it wouldn't care about this. In fact, according to some analysts, Iran might have done this to remind to the U.S. that we exist and we can bring you trouble. We can sow chaos in the region. Don't forget the nuclear file and the Iranian talks just because they're of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. But it also puts further pressure on the United States, and it would make it harder for it to sell the deal. For example, the Congresswoman Elaine Luria from Virginia, who was a Democratic Congresswoman, is part of the congressional effort, that asked the U.S. to leave the talks. Further used the attack and came out to condemn it and said this is further reason that the U.S. should leave the talks. And regional allies of the United States, like Saudi Arabia, like United Arab Emirates, and of course like Israel, will also use this as further occasion to push their opposition to the relaunching of the Iran deal of 2015, which they believe gives Iran billions of dollars, without targeting its so-called regional behavior.
So we should note that it's the Iran Revolutionary Guards that have confirmed or claimed to be behind this missile attack, and yet we have not yet heard anything official from Iran's government on this. Why do you believe that is?
This is a very important fact. In fact, the Iraqi Foreign Ministry summons the ambassador. They have to speak. It tells you something about Iran. Iran has a president, has a foreign ministry, and they're out there. They're very loud about many things. They of course condemn the recent execution in Saudi Arabia. They have a presence, but they haven't said a word about this clear action. IRGC is a militia that effectively controls the government in Iran. Effectively, declares its action, does whatever it wants, and it's responsible to no one. And the previous Iranian Foreign Minister Javad Zarif had complained about how the IRGC controls much of the Iranian government and much of the foreign ministry, so that everybody else is effectively an observer and a player. This is has gone further under the current administration of the conservative president Ebrahim Raisi, and the fact that he's a mere observer to this important international drama involving Iran is just a confirmation of how much this militia effectively controls the Iranian politics, economy, and diplomacy.
That was Middle East expert Arash Azizi. Thank you so very much for all of your insights.
Thanks for having me.